Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unfuck Your Mind. I'm your host, Zach Lyotis, and in today's podcast, I have Darius Bashar, portrait photographer, writer, and podcaster. But before any of that, he is a soul having a human experience. Well, now that is literally one line with so much beautiful power and energy to. Welcome, Darius, to the podcast.
Thank you. I think somehow it slipped my mind that that's the name of your podcast. So I'm sitting here with a giant smile like, yes, that's the best name ever.
Unfuck your mind. You really literally have to unfuck your mind to recognize who you are and your soul and in your divinity. So,
or maybe you got to make sweet, sweet love to your mind.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make sweet love to everything these days to recognize the divinity of who you are. Any which way that looks for you.
Mm-hmm.
So what is this human experience you're having? Bring us there.
Well, that's one of my favorite questions, I think. Also a question that I don't think anyone ever asked me besides myself. I have some interesting, unusual beliefs. And I think my very first belief, just to set the foundation, is that all beliefs are bullshit. Mm-hmm. Except all beliefs are true if you put enough energy into them. My second belief after that foundational belief that all beliefs are bullshit is I personally believe that we are all cosmic space travelers. Mm-hmm. We stopped off at this beautiful planet. We named it Earth. And we thought for a variety of reasons that our time here could, be useful and productive, and we could laugh and cry and explore and learn and hopefully heal and hopefully have tremendous joy. Mm-hmm. So we forget that because we got hit with some amnesia once we entered this human body, this vessel. Mm-hmm. And so for me, the more I explore what's inside and I explore my heart, the more I realize my heart is a gateway to soul and to God and to back to that cosmic space that we all come from. And that I'm not here to overly complicate things and overly stress or to be a commerce machine. That's what I used to think. I think a lot of us used to think that we're here to work. Now I believe, and I'm constantly learning and exploring and designing what I believe. But I think there's something about joy. I think there's something about connection. I think there's something about exploring. And I think there's something about that feeling we have inside, that light we have inside, and finding ways to let it out into this world. And so it is a different perspective from what I used to think, that hey, I'm a human, that if I'm lucky every once in a while, I'll have a spiritual experience. Yeah. It's the flip of that. I'm a soul sent here, having a human experience, and not to forget that.
Wow, that's deep and that's profound that we started off like that, because I'm sure it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't always like that for you. You were having this human experience and sometimes the spirit will come through. But when did you have this awakening where we are this cosmic stardust having this human experience? When did that all happen for you?
2 summers ago. 2 summers ago, my beloved, my second mom, my Aunt Shala, was diagnosed with a very serious form of leukemia. And I had never experienced anything like that. Like nothing remotely close to that. And I remember being in the hospital room in the midst of all the chaos. She was so confused and so scared. My family was all confused and scared. It was a lot of pain, a lot of uncertainty. But I also remember in the middle of all of that, it was like I was looking at a painting, and it was an old painting, and the old paintings, you can see the cracks in the paint. Mm-hmm. I could see the cracks in the paint in this painting that I was observing. And through the cracks, I swear to God, I could see light. Light was like emitting through it. And for me, that was like something divine. It was God. And it's like in the midst of this chaos, there's beauty and joy and something profound. And then I had the second thought a couple of weeks later around, holy shit, this might be my aunt's last summer. And everybody loves summer. I love summer. I'm like, fuck, a last one? A last one? I don't know, something inside of me just thought it would go on forever. But then I was like, damn, this could be my last summer. Who knows if I have a summer next year? And then that spiraled into this thought that would forever change my life, which was, holy shit, there's a last breath out there looking for all of us. Yeah. 10-year-olds know you're going to die. But that was the first time in my life I felt it in my body that like, that's it, no more breathing from my body. And that spiraled into every aspect of my life radically changing.
So what were the first steps? That's serious because I went through cancer. So when I went through cancer, I had to go face to face with fear of dying. And I was just like, I'm not afraid to die, please. Like, this is not gonna, hold me back from anything. But yeah, it awakened me to say, were you happy on earth if you passed away? Did you do everything you wanted to do? And I could actually say I still haven't done everything I want to do. So your last breath could happen when you least expect it, but it's how we fulfill that mission. So what were the few things that you had to start with in order when that awaken process came? I'm sure a lot of other thoughts came following that. So what did that look like for you?
I remember that fall, something woke up in me and I began to meditate. I began waking up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I had this sinking feeling that any day someone was going to knock on my door and take my laptop and my camera away. I'm a photographer, so both those things are really important. And I just like, whoa, no more pictures, no more writing, no more creating. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not waiting for projects, people to pay me to do stuff. I'm not creating stuff for payment. I'm creating because I have something inside me that needs to be let go and released. Mm-hmm. So I would wake up at like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. I would do my bulletproof coffee. I would have my headphones on with a very carefully curated playlist. I would meditate. I would do yoga. I would do breath work. I would practice for my last breath every single morning. I'd take 3 deep breaths, and on the third one, I'd hold it as long as I could, imagining that moment where last breath found me. And I would scan in that rehearsal moment to see if in that last breath I was smiling. Because for me, if I was smiling, that indicated I had fully let go of everything. And most days I wasn't smiling. So I was like, I got shit to let go of. So I would go out and write for 2 hours, shoot for 2 hours, edit for 2 hours, and then like be back where most people are like having their first coffee and be like, whoa, I did a lot today. And then I would go do work. Yeah. So it was just like, the more I did that, the more I saw that there's just like this gateway into something divine. And then I would get like these downloads from God, and I could hear whispers, and I could feel presence, and I could feel guidance. And it was just like, whoa. And then through that, so many things in my life started falling out. Like I just had no desire to drink. I'm like, I don't feel that anymore. And it's so weird because I used to drink so much, and it just one day I was like, nah, it doesn't feel right anymore. And many other habits just sort of like fell off.
That's interesting you say that. It feels like all of us go through that journey of not drinking anymore. It's like, you don't need this anymore. And it's beautiful. So when you say you got these downloads, for those that don't understand this, because a lot of people don't understand when they have a download, what does that feel like to you? What does that, symbolize for you, the downloads?
they're different. Sometimes it's similar to creating sometimes. And like the step to creation is the same step to receiving downloads. It's, you need to clear shit out to make room for new creations. You know, you need to clear shit out to make room for God's light, God's voice, you know, guidance to come through. So the more I cleared out, the more space there was for things to come through me. And sometimes it's like a crystal clear voice. And it's like, this is what you need to do. And sometimes it's an energy, and sometimes it's a vision, and it's a variety of voices sometimes too. It's not always one, but like there is sort of like a more clear God vibe as well. And I know there's a part of me right now that's like, dude, you're fucking crazy. What are you talking about? Are you like schizophrenic? What are you saying? Voices coming through you, like, yeah. And I'm okay with that. That part of me is the more logical part of me, and I love him too. But I don't need to prove this to him or anyone. I felt the power. I've seen the power. I've witnessed the power.
You are the power. That's the beautiful part. You are that power. It's not separate from you. It is you.
Yeah. And that's true for all of us.
Yeah. That's the beautiful part. So what have been, you know, I know this, and it's not even about me, because at the end of the day, I've been through this journey after cancer, awakening, depression, anxiety, panic, heartbreak, all that stuff goes on. But I want to know more about the masculine. What was the most difficult challenge that you had to deal with when you were going through your meditation, when you didn't have that smile on your face, when you had that, you know, that experience of a last breath? What were some of the challenges that you were faced with?
And the challenges are always there. It's not like I've reached a point and I am enlightened and everything is zen. It's definitely not like that. If anything, there's more challenges because you're constantly, you know, healing more things and going deeper. But I think early on, the challenges were, I was changing a lot. Like there's so much of me had changed. Mm-hmm. And many of the people around me, especially the men around me at that time, were not feeling this. And they were just like, why are you being so sensitive? Why are you sharing so openly? Why do you need to bring those things up? We don't need to talk about all this shit. It feels like a weakness to me. And some of them would say it that bluntly, and some of them would just stop messaging me and stop liking my posts and stop wanting to hang out. And that was tough. Yeah, that was tough. And to a certain degree continues to be tough. But it's changed quite a bit since last year and a half. I think because I was just like, yeah, it's a lot of work to get me to the place I am now in terms of being okay with understanding that we're all on our own path. And it's not my path is better than theirs. You know, they're on their own path, and I love and respect them. But if we're not vibing, we're not vibing. We don't need to fake it and make both of us miserable.
I love that you said that, because it's true. And that's why, you know, when I work with people, I'll say the top is lonely, man. The top sometimes could be, it's not lonely. You could feel alone at the top, but know that you're never alone, because you'll truly start finding your tribe that understands you, that could vibe with you. You could have these weird conversations and say, dude, I heard this in my, you know, meditation the other day. And they won't look at you like you have 5 heads and you're really losing your mind. So, you know what, I appreciate that you've come clean with that, because it's hard, especially for men to start talking like this. It's hard. And to just allow yourself to be expressive like that, it's a beautiful thing. So what is Darius up to these days? How is he fulfilling this? I hear this prophecy of his. Interesting. The prophecy of his.
I have a prophecy?
I guess so. I don't know. That's what just came through to me.
What's my prophecy?
I have no idea. Let's see what comes out of that.
my prophecy. That's fun. What am I up to these days? I'm up to a lot, actually. I have I've got a lot more clarity around my photography business.
Amazing.
And just today, as a matter of fact, I changed the bio for my Instagram and a few other places on the photography. So photography business is growing faster than it's ever gone. It's like, I'm so happy in it, but there was quite a bit of a shift over the past 6 months where I have stopped working a lot more in fashion and commercial photography, which is great. It pays wonderfully and it has a lot of perks, and started focusing much more on portraiture, and specifically I call them heart shots, which are the exact opposite of headshots. And I launched this program a few months ago. I don't think I planned it like this. I don't think I was quite smart enough to do that. I think I started planning it. I couldn't expect it to get where it is now, because once I launched it, it absolutely took off. But I think the coolest thing about what I did was I created a program that allowed me to spend quality time with brilliant, heart-centered thought leaders, coaches, and speakers. And that's different than spending a lot of time with models and actors. The former is a little bit more interesting to me because we have so many things in common that we want to talk about. So like, I was just telling someone the other day that like, I don't know how I did this, but basically I get to have 4 to 5 coaching sessions every week for free, except it's not for free. The coaches pay me.
Yeah.
Like, what?
The universe is watching over me.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's been incredible. That I feel like has supercharged me. Just sitting with, and they're not all coaches. Some of them are like really successful entrepreneurs, people who are making like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, designing their lives, quality life, balanced individuals. And we just shoot the shit and ask like real questions. And if anyone knows me, like my process is about going deep. You know, the whole photography process for me is like, how do we create a safe space for both of us so we could rest our very, very, very overworked adult brains so that our child hearts can have a play date together. Not for everyone. Definitely not for everyone. But the people that it is for, those heart-centered thought leaders, they love it. And that's been amazing because like people are now connecting me in the intersections between each of them. And that's where I met Mike. We were at a workshop because of one of those connections with Armin Chaffee. So that's been really amazing. And that's the photography side of the business. And I'm looking to expand that. And what I've realized is, like we hang out for 4 hours for hard shots, but we only shoot for 1. There's 3 hours of like humans connecting and like, what have you learned on your earth walk? What have I learned on my earth walk? Let's just chat and connect. And because they're there for photography, they put away their like, I am a coach, I am a successful entrepreneur, I am a whatever. And it's just like, it's such a more grounded conversation, which I feel like is so much more fruitful to real, connection.
And do you think you were able to connect to that because you did your own, I don't want to call it healing, because healing people, when you say the word healing, people think that we're talking about someone that's broken, and you weren't broken, nothing like that. But I want to call it activations. So I'm going to turn that healing into activation. So do you find that you were able to connect to the other person now because you activated your heart to love more, considering you were in the fashion and other industry that you're in?
Yeah, I think what it is I think people, there's skills, there's super skills, there's powers, there's superpowers. And it's a new area for me. And I think I have a superpower. I know I have a superpower that is I can see other people's superpowers. Mm-hmm. And that comes from my own history of being a professional hider because of my own core. I know you don't want to call it wound. I still call it wound, but it was a core wound from a childhood trauma that taught me there's not enough room for my emotions in this world. So I need to get as small as possible and hide and become really good at hiding so no one ever asks me if I need anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that created a path of being a world-class hider, so good at hiding, so good at dimming my light, pushing it all down, giant smile on my face. So that core wound gave me superpowers to be able to see you hiding. And I'm not so concerned about you hiding your wound. I'm actually more interested in what you're hiding. It's not the wound you're hiding, in my opinion. It's the power, the light, God. And so I think that's my secret weapon as a photographer, because when people are, you can create an environment and an experience that allows them to feel safe enough to bring down that fortress around their heart so their light, their superpower can shine through. That picture is going to be a great picture.
Yeah, and guys, I'm telling you right now, Darius takes some sick pictures. I've seen his photography. I'm going to be in front of his camera eventually when I figure out what universe has in store for me. But I love your photography, and I see the heart, and I see the soul, and I see every part of it. But yes, wounds are different than the healing aspect. You weren't broken. Those are imprints that were put onto us. So in that wound, or in those beliefs, or in those imprints that were put onto us, it made you shrink and hide. And that became now the mirror reflection that you could see other people's superpowers. And let me tell you, you could actually see, when I look at your photography, I could actually see someone's soul through your photography. So you're doing great stuff. Like, you are doing magnificent stuff where, regardless if it's black or white or color or whatever sepia, I'm getting the word sepia coming up. I don't know why the sepia is coming up, but whatever frame you're using, I could actually see the soul within your portraits. And that's what, I wanted to have you on this podcast, because this is not about you being a healer or a light worker per se in the traditional ways. You do your work through photography and allowing the individual to shine on the other side of the camera. And a lot of photographers don't do that straight up. I've had many photographers that I worked with in the past to do my work. But you have a gift inside of you beyond the superpower that this light comes through. You call it God power, you call it higher power, whatever title that you're using out there. We use the word God because that's what we're calling it. But whatever superpower that's coming through you is working magnificent through you. And I'm getting a channel of who you're working through right now, but it's going to come to me in a second. And that, you know what, I honor that within you, because I know that you had to go through a lot of different so-called healing, but the activation part of it to recognize who you are in your power beyond the wounds and the beliefs and the imprints that you had to hold yourself back from. So what is a word of advice that you could give to the men out there that, want to shine the light within them to come out, but they have this sort of resistance to come out?
Great question. So we got one life. And for most of us, that, especially if you live in North America, Western men, the privilege we have is that we can design virtually every aspect of our existence. If you pay close attention, you will see that almost everything we know, we were taught. Education, money, time, gender, race, all of it's made up shit. And we get the privilege to take a step back and say, is this making sense? I was told that I need to treat women this way and that men talk that way, and that a real man is so-and-so. Does that shit make sense? Is that the world we want to live in? And so whatever it might be, Me Too stuff, spirituality stuff, the job you have, the relationship you're in, just take a second to take a step back and feel into your heart and be like, is this the life I want to be living? Is there an opportunity to perhaps do something a little differently that will bring more joy into my life, that will bring more joy into other people's life, that feels more true to who I really am? And every time I ask myself that question, there's more opportunities for me to be more me. understanding that that is a fluid thing. It's constantly evolving and changing, and that's okay. That's okay. You know, it's committed but not attached. So yeah, and that journey sometimes can be really scary, because sometimes to know what we really want, we need to figure out who we really are. And I think that's the step that a lot of people are missing. They're just like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? Well, people told me I need to make money. I need to get a condo. I need to get a house. I need to have this job. I need to get that title. I need to have sex with people. I need to have this. Like, people told you that. Now you get to check in and see, like, is that what I really want to make most use of this precious thing called the human experience?
Wow, that was deep, man. That was beautiful. I appreciate you for getting so deep, because you know what? Men are afraid to get that deep. And you know, this is what Awakenment Monday is all about, is to get that deep and to find that tribe that you could get that deep with, to really allow yourself to open up. And yeah, the wounds are going to come out and all that stuff's going to come out that were imprinted inside of us. So what kind of support would you say? And I asked this question because I know there's going to be women that are listening to this podcast as much as there's going to be men. But how is it that the awakened woman could support you on this journey?
That's another great question. What do you mean by awakened woman?
The woman that is evolved, the evolved woman, the divine, you know, I hear the word divine empress, the woman that feels that she is ready to be with a man that really opens her heart up even more. How could she support you?
Yeah, I'm so lucky to have so many of those type of women in my life, and also men that are equally as conscious and grounded. But it took a lot of work to get there. And how women can help is, it's a great question. I think together, men and women need to, it's such a complicated question, because like it's really tough to do things if it's the exact same answer, if I'm honest, as what I said to men. Like, we get to decide how we want to live. And I think with women, so many women I hear are like, I'm ready to meet my king. I am a queen. I'm ready. And it's really easy to say those words, but it's a very different thing to live those words, you know? And the first question I like to ask is like, and it's interesting because with men, when you ask them, they're like, I want to meet a queen. I want to meet a queen. How do I do that? They're like, well, do you feel that you're a king? Mm-hmm. And most men will like sort of implode. And so I think what it is, man, you are really stumping me with this question. I'm going to be honest. Well,
the reason I asked this question is because I think right now the woman is going through a healing of the divine masculine she has inside her, or the yin and the yang.
Yeah. And
as she is going through that healing, we are healing a huge lineage within our own beings of light, that the more that we activate, you know, our counterpart, the person that we want to attract in our life within our own being, we create and find that same person. But when we come together, say the twin flame or the soul-mate energy, you start getting activated in different parts, and different, you know, beliefs will come out, or different wounds will come up, and all this stuff. So if I have my man crying on my shoulder, if I have a man that's just screaming, but I know that he's screaming, but it has nothing to do with me, I'm not going to be like, yo, shut the fuck up, man. What the fuck are you saying? Like, that's not who I am. I am like, let it out, babe. Cry it out, you know, fight it out. Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
You have a container for but how is it that you feel that would be best support?
I got my answer. I got it. I found it. Because that's the thing. That's not the truth for me. The truth for me is like, when men cry, women are fairly supportive. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, I don't know. I know I've seen that episode of Friends with what's his name, crying, and anyways. I think I know what it is. The answer is, women need to get better. My suggestion is at asking for what they really want. Spoiler alert, it's not just women, it's men too. People in general need to ask for what they want, as opposed to like trying to figure it out and you can read my mind, or, you know, like claim what you want. And I know why people don't claim what they want is because they're afraid they might not get it. And this is something I've been using in my relationship now, where it's like, I tell this to people when we're going to do a photo shoot with me. I talk to them about how important movement is in the photo experience. I say, yeah, movement of their bodies, movement of their breath, movement of their voice, so we can communicate. But there's a fourth type of movement that's also really important. And there's a part of your brain and a part of my brain that right now is dedicated to allocating energy to like, what does she want? Does she need me to smile more? Does she need me to look into the camera? Does she need me to do this or that? And once that part of your brain understands that I'm going to ask for anything I want, then it reallocates that energy in other places so we can enjoy each other's presence. If I can trust that my partner will ask for what she wants, if something I said upset her, man, I'm hating this answer too now.
No, you don't have to hate anything. Because it's not about liking or hating. It's about knowing what you want in order to be in your full expression, right?
It's just such a complicated question, because now I'm becoming cognizant of the complexities of like Me Too issues, and I'm not actually addressed. Like, this has nothing to do with that, is what I'm realizing, because that's a whole other.
And I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm gonna go on to that for a second. That whole issue right now. It was a great movement, yes, but I believe it's also triggered men that come from our heart-centered to make them feel less of or less than, because I found a lot of women put men in this basket and comparing that they're all the same. And I want to say that no, not all men are the same. And no, you are not to be triggered by that. That's the wounded masculine in women. And I know I'm probably going to get hate mail for this, but that's just your healing and that's your activation that you're going through. It has nothing to do with me because I've been through a lot of issues with men that I had to heal through myself. But when it comes down to what that whole movement, it's belittled a lot of men that were there supporting women throughout the way. So when I'm looking at, I want to support men and I want to honor men and I want to appreciate a man, I want to know how is it that he wants my support for me to able, for both of us in general, not for just him, but for me as well, that we could work together, because 2018, yes, was for the divine feminine to rise. And she's been heard and she's been spoken to and she's been awakened and she's been activated, yes. But at that point, as the women were rising, it felt like the men were being stepped upon. And right now, 2019 is the year that the divine masculine needs to step up. And this is what this is all about, is that our men are not all these animals or these beings that have come out in the media. That's not all men. You know, and I'm not going to categorize all men under that animalistic, egotistical tendencies that they may have, because they want to feel fulfillment in a place of emptiness. And that's now coming right now into 2019, where I got asked from Spirit to have Awakened Men Mondays to say, men, we honor you, we respect you, we see you, we appreciate you, and you are not all the same. For you all carry a different code and a different light within you. And together, between the masculine and feminine energy, whatever you're holding within you, we could captivate this world and we could energize this world tenfold. But yes, we have to go through our healing. We're not broken. We are just imprinted with false beliefs. But when we awaken to that being of light that we are, when we awaken to the divinity of our truth, of our birthright, together we are unstoppable.
It's powerful.
That's why that question, when I belong to a sacred masculine group right now, and I'm so blessed that they let me in, because there's no woman that will let a man into a woman's group, straight up. And when I put it out there and they said, yeah. And I said, you know, man, I appreciate you. I bow down to you, because it's not about me bowing down and belittling me. Far from that. I know my power. I know my strength. I know who I am. I know my confidence. I know my weakness. But to be allowed to come into a man's space and to feel a man in his pain, and to feel a man in his wounds, and to support him, and to know that he is safe by a feminine energy, that's powerful, man. And that just brings more energy up, and that brings more robust energy, regardless of what you're trying to manifest. When we have this commonality rather than division. Division has been part of every part of our life, regardless of what race you are, regardless of what religion you are, regardless of what financial status you are. There's been so much division. This is about unification now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this is about, you know, how could we support each other? It's not how could women support you. The question is that, yes, but how can we support each other? Because as a woman is supporting you, you are supporting her.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was powerful. How you feeling?
Well, that came streaming through me. That's the
Woo! I like that. I felt that over here. I think why I struggle with answering that question is I was like, I don't want to tell women what to do. That there's been so much of that. And then when I started answering it, I was answering it through the perspective of me and someone in a personal relationship where all that consent is already established. And that's a completely different question. I think, to be honest, what women can do is to keep on shining, keep on. You're absolutely right. This last year, they have taken the stage and taken, you know, by force sometimes and by permission other times, but like women have been doing some incredible things, numbers across the board for like women running for political office, women winning awards, women standing up and doing these incredible things. And sometimes it's the same things they were doing in the past, but now they're actually being acknowledged for them. So the more of that we see, especially for youth, where they're clearly seeing modeled for them that anything a man can do, a woman can do too, the more that will change our perceptions and our standards for how we treat men and women. So that's the most important thing I think women can do, is just to keep on shining and holding themselves to that highest standard. Regarding like coming together, I completely am on the same page with you. Like, we can't do this on our own. Like, both sides are not perfect. And we need to sort of find some sort of middle ground where we can find imperfect allies and figure out a way to create a better future for the next generations. And a part of that is acknowledging what has happened, for sure. But a part of that, like, you acknowledge so that you can heal. You know, you can't miss the acknowledgement part, but you also can't just dwell in the pain, or else you never get to healing. And I know it's a very complicated situation, and I'm just a student trying to learn, and I have so much to learn within it. There's only one way through this, and it's together.
Amen. Amen. I believe that. That's why we're here today having this conversation, because I believe together we could conquer the world, and we could create greater for both sexes, or whichever partner you choose to have. It doesn't matter if it's same sex, or it doesn't matter if it's heterosexual. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't really care at the end of the day, because we all hold both energies, divine masculine and divine feminine. It's just which one is more prominent that we're capitalizing on. And I love this conversation that we had, because there was just so much greatness in this, and there was so much greatness that came out of you in your journey of awakening your heart and activating your heart and recognizing that superpower within you, and it shows in your photography. And I said that before. So for anyone out there, you don't need to be an entrepreneur to get your photos done. You just need to want to see how beautiful your soul is, to be recognized for the beauty that you are, even in see that pain. You know, go get a photo session done. Even when you are going through pain, get a photo session done so you could see what lays underneath all that so-called suffering, all those wounds, all those imprinted beliefs and patterns. Because once Darius brings out that heart shot from you, you'll see that there's a whole different life in you that maybe you can't see with your own eyes. So Darius, thank you so much, my man, for being on this podcast today and shedding your light with the men and the women of the world, because at the end of the day, we need each other. So I appreciate you, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this work and having these tough conversations. I truly believe God's work.
Yeah, amen. So everyone, if you're looking to get nice photo shoots done, regardless if it's for your business or just for you putting yourself up on the wall and looking at how gorgeous your soul is, down below in the show notes, you'll have all of Darius's social handles, and connect with him, add him on your Instagram and see all the beauty that he's doing. Until we connect again on Awakened Men Mondays, have yourself a great day. Remember, beauty is an inside job, not an external thing. Much love. Love you all. Bye for now.